Hi, I'm Heather Hocker, President and CEO of the Lubbock Symphony Orchestra, and this is Clef Notes. I'm excited to introduce you to our musicians, guest artists, and patrons who for 80 years have developed a love of music through your Lubbock Symphony here on the South Plains. In today's episode, I'm visiting with Maestro David Cho. David is no stranger to Classical 105.7 or the Lubbock community. He's our much beloved maestro who's now entering his 14th season in 2026-2027. Thank you for joining me on Clef Notes today, David.
Thank you, Heather. It's a great pleasure to chit-chat and talk about music, among other things.
So I've known David probably since he first came to Lubbock in 2007 as a guest maestro. And then we just discovered today I'm actually older than David. I always thought that I knew we were close in age, but I didn't realize that I'm actually 2 years older than you. So
I agree. I thought we were about the same age. And since you're a 2 year senior, I have to call you Nuna. In South Korean language. That means, hey, big sister, in a very respectful way.
And what do you say for little brother?
A little brother, a 동생. That means just a younger sibling.
Younger sibling.
So you would have to call me, hey, 동생.
Hey, 동생.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's perfect.
All right.
Very good pronunciation.
Fun fact for all our listeners. Well, lots of fun facts, David, as we get to talk every week on Cliff Notes. This has really been a joy for me since joining the symphony. We ended our last conversation with some other fun facts, but as we started going down that path, we decided, okay, we got more fun facts to talk about. So to continue that, what's next for you, David Cho? Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I would like to see myself in 10 years or 20 years down the road when I guess by then I'll be 72. And most halfway decent conductors are in their 70s and 80s. So I hope to reap some benefit by that time. And I hope to contribute to the orchestras in America. There are 5 big orchestras: Boston, Cleveland, Chicago, New York, and Philadelphia. That's the big 5. And they all carry their own sound. For example, during our last Masterworks concert, we particularly talked about the Philadelphia Orchestra, how they carry that lush romantic sound. And we can talk about that later, how they developed that romantic sound. However, I'm a big fan of the Chicago Symphony because they are just like the Berliners. They have the rough edges. They have fantastic brass. And they combine not only the American brilliance, they have the brilliant woodwind and brass. And they blend in a very kind of rough-edged way, not like the very round, perfect execution like the Cleveland Orchestra, but that rough edge results in the excitement of sound. Back in the 1970s, when George Solti used to be the great Hungarian conductor, used to conduct the Chicago Symphony, their Carnegie Hall concerts would be standing room only. They would have to repeat the concerts 2-3 times in order to accommodate all these people who wanted to attend their concerts. And the reason they wanted to attend Chicago Symphony concerts was because they had this exhilarating, brilliant sound. And my dream is to be the music director of the Chicago Symphony when I turn 70 or maybe 80.
No, you can't leave Lubbock. Sorry. No, I'm kidding. I think that's pretty cool. What sound would you say that the Lubbock Symphony currently has, and how does that compare to the Big 5?
Lubbock Symphony is a crown jewel of West Texas. We talked about last weekend when the side-by-side concert happened for the first time in 16 years. I think this orchestra has a huge potential and can do anything. I particularly noticed it on Saturday night when our pros sat next to our youths. And it was a two-way street of mentoring each other because pros not only gave lessons during the week during the rehearsal process, taught the youth how to do certain things. However, for certain pieces on the program, it was the other way around. The youth members taught our pros how to play Pirates of the Caribbean, Yellowstone theme song, etc. So that was exhilarating for me. And I think Lubbock Symphony has a very unique vision in fostering the youth to become orchestral musicians, people, great human beings who want to do justice to the great classical music that we inherited, whether you have Bach, Beethoven, Brahms, or Mozart even. We have a mission to not only practice hard and do justice to the greatness and the complexity of message that Mozart, Beethoven, Brahms exudes to our audiences. We have a vision to train our next generation. And I think that's what's so unique and beautiful about the Lubbock Symphony.
Well, and that leads me to my next question, which ties in beautifully. What do you feel needs to be done to grow classical music audiences? And what can we do different here in Lubbock to help continue to grow our audience?
That has been a perennial dilemma and a question, if I may say, $1 billion question. We all know music is a great vehicle to connect humans from different backgrounds. And it's only medically proven device or medium that really helps young prepubescent children to connect the two hemispheres of their brains. And what was the question?
Well, how do we grow our classical music audience? How do we, how do we get these younger audiences to take time out of our very crazy lives and say, I'm going to gift myself with an evening at the Lubbock Symphony Orchestra? I've always looked at it as a gift. Before I even took this role, being a longtime seasoned subscriber, I, started coming to the symphony 30 years ago when we moved to Lubbock. And it was always our treat to get to come hear beautiful music. My husband and I were both raised getting to go to the Houston Symphony. So I would say from our previous conversation, I'd add them in the top 10 symphonies in the world, in the country. It disappoints me some because you look around and I have friends that would rather just go to dinner. And I'm like, but you get dinner and a concert and come join us, because it's my time just to sit there. And several weeks ago when we did have Echoes of the New World, and I was just so proud to see 109 musicians on the stage at Buddy Holly Hall. Yes, not only were they our Lubbock Symphony Orchestra members, but they were also our Lubbock Youth Orchestra members. And to see how proud our youth were sitting on that stage and how gratifying after the concert with their friends and their family out in the grand hall, just celebrating their successes. And I don't want that to die. I want to continue to educate these next generations that, yes, we'll buy tickets to basketball and football and baseball, and we love athletics, but take time for yourself just to be entertained by our Lubbock Symphony Orchestra.
I think you answered the question yourself very beautifully. I think the key word is gift. And sometimes we take this gift for granted. Yes, the athletics are exciting. We have to go to basketball games, football games of our nephews and nieces, of course. Yes. I think symphonic music is something that we all know it's beneficial to us. However, it just takes that, just getting yourself to the concert hall. My mom used to say, just starting something is halfway done. It's like exercising. You all know it's good for us, and we all know we have to be exercising 2-3 times a week, but it just takes that extra effort to get to the gym, and then you reap benefits. So just getting yourself to the hall, just come to the Buddy Holly Hall. It's so beautiful. It's something to look at and to listen for during the concert. It's visual and oral experience. So you answered it beautifully yourself. I think we should just get our buns in the seats and enjoy the beautiful sounds of music.
Well, and we've spent the last 2 episodes talking about our season for the 80th season of the Lubbock Symphony Orchestra. And I've had great fun the last several weeks of looking back into the archives, going back to the very beginning and the origination of the little Lubbock Symphony. And then it became the Lubbock Symphony Orchestra. And just all the different programs and history and those in this community that have given us 80 years of the Lubbock Symphony Orchestra. And with that, I think it's important to talk about, how do you define success, David?
That's another $1 million question. Well, at least today, say if we have a concert to present, how would we define success? During concerts, I try to find an opportunity to play this game where I can make eye contact with at least 5 people in a movement. And if you look at somebody long enough, they'll look at you back. And I think making that connection is so beautiful, because sometimes I could hear that person play. And when you hear his or her sound, you can influence or encourage that sound to become morph into a unifying fabric to the rest of the orchestra. And when I play that game, and if you do that enough, you kind of lose yourself, immersing yourself in the music. And personally, that is a sign of success. I told the youth during our side-by-side at the end of our dress rehearsal, just to give a pep talk to everybody. Hey guys, I know all week we talked about playing in tune, playing together. Forget about it. Don't think too much. And tomorrow night, just light it on fire and be dynamic and be passionate. And even when things are not perfect technically or execution-wise, when 80 people on stage, unifiedly become one in terms of being passionate about the music we're playing, I think that would define success, one of the successes.
I agree with you. Totally. Okay, David, we could keep talking, but I think we're going to get cut off here. So we'll have to come back another day, because it's always a pleasure. You're a crown jewel of this town. And I love being out with David, because everyone always wants to talk to the maestro. So thank you for all the good work you do in our community day in and day out.
It's a pleasure to be a great team partner with you, Heather. Let's go raise money and sell out this 250th birthday of our country, Masterworks 5. I think we're going to have kind of like a tailgating party before the show, right?
We are. We're actually going to have hot dogs under the Bird's Tail at Buddy Holly Hall beginning at 6 p.m. with Hannah Jackson. And we'll talk more about that as we get into the month of May. But time is clicking along. So
yeah. And who wants to miss the 1812 overture with cannon shots being fired? It's going to be sound files. My wish would have been to have like a blank cannon shots, but we can't do that in the Buddy Holly Hall. But it's exciting with the tubular bells and chimes going off at the same time at the end of the overture. It's really exciting. And I really hope the Lubbock community feels the FOMO, the fear of missing out. And they're just going to pile into the Buddy Holly Hall to experience the great sounds of the Lubbock Symphony.
Well, it's going to be an exciting weekend. Again, that's Saturday, May the 23rd. That would conclude our 25-26 season. And it's going to be a special evening, and already excited to have hot dogs and ice cream under the Bird's Tail. So with that, want to remind our listeners, you can reserve your tickets today by calling the Lubbock Symphony Orchestra at 806-762-1688 or online at thelubbocksymphony.org. We look forward to our next Cliff Notes. You can find the Lubbock Symphony Orchestra on social media, and to purchase tickets, visit our website at lubbocksymphony.org, and be sure to download the Classical 105.7 app so you never miss an episode of Cliff Notes. Make it a great day.